As Texas moved towards the modern era in its history, minorities were speaking out for their civil rights. Veterans who had experienced discrimination and segregation in World War II were determined to work to make changes. In 1948, Dr. Hector Garcia founded the American GI Forum to help minority veterans obtain the same benefits as other veterans. The group worked for health care, housing, and education for all veterans. In addition, the GI Forum and LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, won a court case barring segregation of Hispanic students in schools. Minorities also worked for political change. Since 1904, Texans had paid a poll tax in order to vote. For many, paying the tax was a hardship, especially for Hispanics and African Americans. For many others, the tax seemed unjust. In 1964, the 24th Amendment to the Constitution ended the poll tax in national elections. Now Texans joined with other African Americans to end discrimination and segregation in Texas. Following the lead of Martin Luther King and others, Texan James Farmer Jr. founded CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality. With Texan Lyndon B. Johnson in the White House, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed Congress. It made discrimination and segregation of minorities illegal. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 removed obstacles to minority voting. Now the doors were opening for minorities to elect candidates of their choice to Congress and to statewide and local offices. While minorities were seeking social and political changes, Texas cities were changing also. Texas cities were bursting at the seams and the baby boom was on. Cities spread out to the suburbs and families moved in. Veterans could get low-cost loans through the GI Bill and home building soared. So did schools, shopping centers, and stores. But how would cities provide adequate services for all these new Texans? The growth of new industries caused problems also. Pollution of their city's air and water quality was only one of the problems Texans would have to solve to preserve their quality of life. After World War II, Texas politics changed. The Democratic Party was split. Many Texas Democrats opposed President Roosevelt's New Deal. Others opposed civil rights. Texas Governor Allen Shivers led conservative Democrats in supporting Dwight D. Eisenhower for president. In 1960, when John F. Kennedy ran for president, he chose Texan Lyndon B. Johnson as his vice president. Then in 1963, Texans elected John Connally as their governor. Connally supported schools and libraries, colleges, and universities. He also staged Hemisphere 68, a World's Fair held in San Antonio to showcase Texas and increase tourism. John F. Kennedy was running for a second term and he knew he had to carry Texas. With the Democratic Party split between liberals and conservatives, he came to Dallas. Suddenly a shot rang out. The president was hit, so was Governor Connally. The president died and Lyndon Johnson was sworn in as president aboard Air Force One. From the 1970s to the 21st century, minorities, women, and Republicans gained political offices in Texas. African Americans and Hispanics gained seats in the Texas legislature. Frances Sissy Farenthold led a liberal reform movement in the House of Representatives and challenged Dolph Briscoe for the governor's office. Barbara Jordan served both in the Texas Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. Henry B. Gonzalez became the first Hispanic Texan to serve in Congress. Texas gained its second female governor when Ann Richards won the office in 1990. In 1993, Republican Kay Bailey Hutchison became the first Texas woman to serve in the U.S. Senate. In 1978, Bill Clements was elected governor, the first Republican governor since Reconstruction. In 1994, George W. Bush was elected as the fourth Republican governor. George W. Bush became the third president from Texas. Previous presidents from Texas had been Lyndon Johnson and Bush's father, George Herbert Walker Bush.